التغطية الشاملة مع محطات في مواقع استراتيجية زي الرنج، ملكال وباليت. بتوفر آي راديو تغطية شاملة بتصل إلى كل من المراكز الحضرية والمناطق الريفية. بتضمن شراكتك مع آي راديو الرؤية عبر منطقة جغرافية واسعة.
ما تفوت فرصة توسيع نطاق رسالتك باستخدام آي راديو. شارك أو أعلن معنا الليلة وخلي صوتك مسموع في جميع أنحاء جنوب السودان.
Welcome to the Sundown Show. On this show, we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. Stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
أهلا ومرحبا بكم في برنامج سانداون على آي راديو. في البرنامج ده بنستضيف شخصيات بارزة ومؤثرة من جنوب السودان ومن حول العالم، وبنتحدث معهم عن القضايا اللي بتهم بلدنا وبتأثر على حياتنا. كمان بنتطرق في القصص خلف الأخبار وبنتبادل الأحاديث الخفيفة عن حياتنا اليومية. شاركونا، كونوا جزء من البرنامج فقط على آي راديو، عينك على جنوب السودان.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on I Radio with me, Madrama James, and in this particular hour we shall be discussing on a crucial topic of jurisdiction and processes of the GBV court. Our focus is to explore how gender-based violence, also known as GBV cases, are handled within the judiciary system, emphasizing the unique jurisdictions and procedural aspect of the GBV court. This special court plays a vital role in addressing the complexity and sensitivity surrounding the GBV cases, ensuring that survivors receive justice in a supportive and efficient manner. We are honored to have two distinguished panelists. First, Abdul Qasim Sube, judge at the GBV Court Juvenile, who will also bring a valuable insight into the judiciary process, jurisdictions, boundaries, and challenges faced in educating cases involving gender-based violence and juvenile survivors. Secondly, I'm also blessed to be joined by Mr. Maurice John Peter, legal aid working with FACE South Sudan, who will provide a perspective on legal aid services, access to justice, and the procedural safeguards available to survivors within the GBV court frame. Together, they will share more light on the operational mechanism, legal standard, and the importance of the special courts in combating gender-based violence and promoting gender equality. We equally look forward to receive your call later by dialing our studio line on 0911 986 Don't hesitate also to share your comment or question that's via our Facebook page right here. First thing first, allow me now to invite Mr. Morris to briefly tell us about FACE South Sudan current project in the country. Good to have you for the second time in the studio.
Thank you so much, James. Thanks to all the listeners of iRadio. As I've put it, I'm Morris. I'm the legal aid officer. And FACE is a national organization facilitating action for community empowerment, which is working within South Sudan, within the thematic areas of access to justice, peace building, education, and health projects. The current project, which is creating awareness to the people of South Sudan on the existence of GPV and juvenile court, the jurisdiction, how it works, is being purely funded by the Kingdom of the Netherlands and is in partnership with UNDP. So currently, FACE is doing a round kind of awareness raising through the community, through the radio talk show, through the schools, to reach people on to educate them on the importance, the purposes, the mandates, the jurisdictions, and the existence of the GPV and Juvenile Court in South Sudan. Thank you so much.
All right. Abdul Qasim, good to have you. And when we talked of GBV Court, and when was it established in South Sudan and its mandate briefly? Marhaba.
Okay, thank you, James. I'm very happy to be with you here in this program of talk show. First of all, I want to confirm that violence is a reality in the community. Also, it is happening every seconds, every minutes, every day in the society. That is why the judiciary of South Sudan came up with this idea that it is very important to establish gender-based violence court in South Sudan, and they have started with the capital, Juba. GBV court, GBV abbreviation of gender-based violence court. This court, we can define it as a specialized court established to handle cases of violence based on gender, like domestic violence and sexual assault. GBV Court of Juba was established on 3rd of December 2020 and officially started its functions very well from the first date of the establishment. Thank you very much.
نعم لبرو كمان نصل قاعد بتابيننا في ولاية البربراوي تبقر أخي لو من برو باللغة العربية.
Okay, thank you. In Arabic نصل باسمه لغة عربية كويس. محكمة ده بقول محكمة العنف ضد النوع. العنف ضد النوع بيعني الاثنين الراجل والمرأة. محكمة ده تم تأسيسه في يوم 3/12 2000 أو 2020. تم تأسيسه يوم 3/12/2020. الهدف من تأسيس بتاع المحكمة ده إنه قضايا بتاع عنف ضد النوع في جنوب السودان إن جنرال كبير كتير. عشان كده إدارة الجوديشري جاب برأي إنه لازم يأسسوا محكمة عشان يخاطب قضايا بتاع عنف ضد النوع. الهدف بتاع تأسيس محكمة ده اثنين، إنه عشان محاكمة المتهمين يتم في أقرب زمن، في زمن قصير. نمرة اثنين جاستيس، يعني سفايفر ده لازم بيلقوا عدالة في زمن قصير عشان بخفف صدمة اللي حصل له من سبب الجريمة بتاع عنف ضد النوع.
نعم شكرا جزيلا. ورينا برضو كمان خطوة الزول بقدر شيلو لو بيكون في قضية ولا بلاغ بذات فتاو في محكمة بتاع GBV. مرحبا.
Okay, thank you very much. When the case reached to GBV court, we have court police. They received the case there, all the cases of GBV. Then the police put the cases before the first judge in the GBV court. Then the first judge distribute the cases between the judges who they are working in the GBV court. After that, the judge will announce the parties in each case, right? And fix the cases, the sessions according to diary. جزء مهم منه الترجمة بالعربي. القضية أول ما وصل في محكمة GBV، الشرطة بتاع المحكمة بتستلم القضايا، بعدين بخطوا قدام القاضي الأول. القاضي الأول بوزع القضايا في للقضاة الموجودين في محكمة GBV. بعد ذلك بيبدأ كل قاضي بحضر جلسات بتاع GBV. فيكون في إعلانات للمتحري والشاكي والمتهم دائما بيكون بسجن. غالبا بيكون بسجن، بعد ذلك إعلان مش لمدير السجن بيجيب المتهم في المحكمة في الجلسة المحددة. Thank you very much.
نعم. راهب بارو كمان Mr. Morris to also add on to what Judge Abdul Qasim just mentioned here. Welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. The judge has mentioned everything. Let me just add something small about the GBV court. You know what he was saying was due to the high rate of GBV cases happening in Juba, the administration of the judiciary decided to have a special court which will handle only the GBV cases. So we need to be very critical because not all cases are GBV cases. You mentioned some of them, but GBV cases are only cases which happen between a man and a woman. You can talk about sexual violences, maybe like rape and the rest. You can talk about physical, maybe domestic violences that happen between, maybe fighting between a man and a woman at home. So it is specifically handled those kind of cases that happen between a man and a woman, which are gender-based in nature. So when you look at the jurisdiction, this is one of the jurisdiction, like whether in terms of the cases it are handled. But like what he said, when you look at the geographical jurisdiction, of course, there are some other courts which also handle GBV cases in the states. But now, for specific the case of Juba, it was established in Juba with the aim of maybe taking the branches later to the states. But it was done in Juba side that it tried those cases because it was becoming alarming. And people are not like getting the justice in the time that I was talking about. The survivors or the victims of gender-based violence continue having depression, stress, and this kind of thing. Not until the accused persons are brought, because the aim was to expedite the process, to make it to be very fast to get justice. So when you look at the geographical jurisdiction, currently it's based in Central Equatorial State. And in some of those counties in Central Equatorial State, where there are no judges, where there are no courts, like Terkeka for instance, they will be able to access the services of the GBV court when these are GBV related cases. But for some other counties like Yaya and the rest, where they have judges, they can also as well try those GBV cases. Because the most important thing here is the speed of handling the case. It's not treated like any other criminal case, but it's supposed to be treated like a special case so that the survivor receives the justice in a very short period of time. Yeah.
Now, Judge Abdulgasim, we are almost coming to the end of this year. What are some of the common cases recorded so far, starting from January up to December this year? Common cases of that GBV within Central Equatorial State.
Okay, thank you, James, for the second time. According to the experience in this court, the common cases in this court, the rape cases. Most of them rape cases under section 247. There is other cases like forced marriage, kidnap. Also we deem these cases as GBV cases. But the most cases are the rape cases.
Why?
The reason, according to my experience and according to my observations in this court, you know, the youth or the girls and boys, they are engaged in a love relationship. And then the girl will be underage or her age under 18 years. And according to the law, especially Penal Code Act 2008, if any person engaged in sexual intercourse with another person of the age or under the age of 18, the law deem this is a rape case. Why? Because the girl is underage, and her consent cannot be deemed as a consent because she is underage. That is why any person engaged with another person, especially with a girl under the age of 18 years, he committed a rape case. That is why it is very common here in the capital, Juba. Yes.
Abdulgasim, you sit at this special court, and rape is punishable by law. Now, sometimes this happens between minors or underage. How is the special court trying some of these cases?
Okay, this question is very important. If the accused is a minor and it is proved beyond reasonable doubt that he committed this case of rape, this minor can be sent to reformatory school for 2 years at least, and in maximum 5 years. Yes. The court cannot release him because he is underage. No. If he committed this case of rape, he can be sent to the reformatory school. Yes. Just there for rehabilitation. And then to keep him there because the relative of the girl can become angry. Okay? Because the girl can become pregnant, then her relative can become angry because what happened to their daughter is not good. That is why it is very important to keep the accused or this accused minor in the reformatory school.
نعم. ولو في طريقة برو فاصل ده بعربي يلا بعد كان إبراهيم موريس برو كمان.
اوكي. بالنسبة للسؤال الأخير ده، إذا كان المتهم عمره أقل من 18 سنة وثبت قدام المحكمة إنه ارتكب جريمة اغتصاب، المحكمة ما بيفيكوا، لازم برسلوه في إصلاحية. طبعا عندنا إصلاحية هناك ملصق مع سجن جوبا المركزي، بيتم إرساله هناك. إرسال بتاع المتهم ده للإصلاحية أول حاجة عشان يتم إصلاح بتاعه يبردين يحفظوه بعيد من أهل بتاع البيت اللي تعرض لاغتصاب، لأنه أهل البيت إذا لقاه برا ممكن طبعا هيتعرض لاعتداء، بيدقوه، بيهاجموه، أخوان بتاع البيت ممكن يهاجموه أي زمن. عشان كده بيكون قاعد في إصلاحية هناك، بيكون بيحفظوا يا حكموه بسنتين، لأنه إصلاحية دائما يا سنتين يا 5 سنة. عشان كده محكمة ممكن بديه له مدة سنتين أو 5 سنة كحد أقصى.
Mr. Morris, face South Sudan, one of its thematic area is within that you talked of access to justice. Now, in a situation where minors or some of these underage get involved for conflict with the law, how is face South Sudan coming in this situation here?
Okay, thank you so much. The judge has mentioned some of these things, you know, like a GPV court is always a survivor-centered court that looks so much into the issue of the survivors. So in a situation where the accused or the survivor is a juvenile, for instance, a child, there's some special considerations being put forward. There's some other things like confidentiality, because if somebody comes in contact with in conflict with the law today, does not mean that that's the end of the child. The child could still become a big person in the future, but you need to do everything in confidential kind of a manner, where all the informations, all the details about the cases are treated so much confidential. What we always do is we have contact with some of these social workers in the ministry, and even others are based within the GPV court. So if these are minors, then their services is so much required, where they will come and do the counseling, psychosocial support, so that the person regains the mind and feels better. Because, you know, once someone is a survivor of GPV, for instance, is a child, the person loses this kind of the mind, like becomes stressful, depression, it happens. So for us, what we do is we provide the legal aid. For instance, what do you do as a child? Do you have a guardian? If you are an accused person, how can you have somebody to represent you in the court? That is one. Two, if the survivor is a child, who will be like responsible for you, a guardian, this kind of a thing. So we approach them and advise them on what to do. But the rest are being handled by the court itself. So we want to make sure that the legal advice is given and the psychosocial support is given at the right time to the minor.
Now, Abdul Ghasim, I visited also the court one day, but at the end of the day, facility issue is another thing. Then resources also to maintain some of these juvenile is quite challenging. You talked of food, basic needs for them as well. It's quite challenging. Now in such a matter, how does the GBV court ensure protections of the juvenile or survivors of GBV in the court session?
Okay, this question is very important. In the GBV court, protection of the survivor, accused, witness is the duty of the police court. In the GBV court, the court police protect all of them, And in the GBV court, we cannot allow any person to hit or beat or to assault each other in the court. Okay? This is in the court. Even outside, if there is any threat to each person, they can report to the court, then we will provide protection for him. According to our experience, sometimes the survivor can face threat from the relative of the accused. Are you getting me? From the relative of the accused. For no reason. Just they became angry why the relative of the survivor reported the police and their son was arrested and detained in the prison. In this case, if report come from the relative of the survivor that the relative of the accused threatened them, then we have to send the survivor to the safe home to keep her there till the trial of the case is finished. Sometimes some families they are very, very vulnerable. They cannot protect themselves or their daughter. That is why my advice to them is very important to report to the court if the case reaches the court, or to report to public prosecutor if the case is still in the investigation stage.
You've been a focal person at this special center, one of the focal person. During your time there, what are some of the challenges juveniles are facing really, and how are you addressing it? They ya to sohbat algat bielka bezat hidarin albar shakhalin fi special code.
Okay. عندنا صعوبات في صعوبات إدارية يعني مربوط بالوضع الاقتصادي في البلد. في صعوبات عنده علاقة مثلا بقانون. Now in South Sudan, we don't have GBV Act. GBV Act we don't have here in South Sudan, and we apply some sections in Penal Code Act 2008. But according to my information, there is anti-GBV bill still on process in the Ministry of Justice. This is one of the challenges facing us in the GBV court. Also, sometimes some families, when their daughter engage in sexual intercourse, they become angry and started beating their daughter. Then the survivor will feel that her life is dangerous, then she will escape from the home. If she escapes, this means this case cannot be proceeded on. You can't proceed on case because the very important person, the survivor, is absent. This is one of the problems in the court. But if the survivor is around, everything will go smooth. Yes.
ونشيل في مرحلة أنت بيلقى له survivor كمان ودر إدارة بعمل شنو عشان كيف يوقف برو كمان موصرة وأخيرا عدالة كمان يوصل لمجتمع.
كويس. إذا survivor بيجي ما موجود وطبعا المتهم هو قاعد في سجن. يبقى ما بنقدر ننتظر لحد ما يلقوا survivor ده وين. عشان كده إجراءات يمشي قدام لأنه دائما survivor عنده زول complainant يا أبوه أو أخوه أو خاله أو زول مسؤول منه. محكمة بيمشي في إجراءات عشان المتهم ما يضر أكتر. بعدك بيجيف على متهم هل هو معترف بجريمة ولا بينكر جريمة. كان معترف بجريمة خلاص عدالة بيمشي قدام وبياخد إجراء بتاعه وبياخد حكم بتاعه وبيمشي سجن. لكن المشكلة بكله هو أنكر الجريمة. كويس يا هو مشكلة هنا المحكمة ممكن يسطب القضية. Yes.
Mr. Morris, now how is the absence of some of these special and vital act is pending really the issues that can be addressed now and in regards to that GBV court and particularly jurisdictions within that the juvenile court?
Thank you so much. Judge Abdulgassim mentioned about the lack of the GBV Act currently, which is affecting their work so much.
How?
You know, in such a way that they relate all the penalties in line with the Penal Code Act of 2008. And even not only that, you have the absence of the family law, which is not happening, which is not in this country. So when it comes to things to do with the divorce, like between a man, a wife, and a husband, where they want to determine like the material, the ownership of the material, it becomes very hard for the judge to determine which law to use. You know, then at the end of the day, sometimes it makes them to focus on the customs and traditions of the parties, which may not be so much justifiable. They have to do anything possible, because in law they say there's no empty gap. You must fill the gap. So the penal code only comes in to fill the gap. For instance, you know, these rape cases, it can also happen between adults. And if it happens, the law can give you a specific section of the law. You can either punish the person for imprisonment or using the customs of the survivor. So it becomes very hard. So the absence of the GPV Act alone, it has hindered their work, because they could not give the appropriate punishment based on the Act, but they rely only on the Penal Code Act. And some of these Penal Code Act, like what you were saying, they are very harsh. You know, like where a juvenile is an accused person, which is not very much even specified into the Penal Code Act. What kind of a punishment do you give to this kind of a person? Because we have in some scenarios, there are no reformatory centers. Like it's only in Juba, I think it's only in Wa also. But in other states, they are not there. So how does a judge sentence this kind of a juvenile to go to a prison where it's being put together with the adults? And it's not reforming from what he has done, because it's not given the services that is supposed to take. So that's why you can find that in some other states, some of these juveniles are being sentenced, but they stay at home. Because the judge can tell you, for instance, I can sentence him, but he served the sentence from home. Unless he commits another crime of the same nature, then I will bring him. You get me? So it becomes very hard. So in this kind of scenarios, they are also exposed to the danger outside there. Because you don't know the parents of the lady who got pregnant, like what he was saying. For instance, if the girl dropped out of the school, and the father or the relative is very annoyed and gets the boy loitering on the road, and moreover, he was sentenced and there was no prison, then they kept him somewhere. So he can easily be killed or be tempted with, which is very dangerous in the judicial system. Of course, the issues of the safety homes, we do have, for example, like the State Ministry of Gender and Child Social Welfare, they have them. But we find some situations where, for instance, the people or the relatives are not having the capacity of relocating. That's why we can also say thanks to some of these partners, because I remember there was one case like this in Yambio where the partners like UNDP came in and the lady was relocated from Yambio to Juba because her life was already in threat. So like what was also saying, these things to do with the absence of the survivors, not even only the survivors, sometimes even the complainant. The complainant can come and open a case. When the case reaches the court, he will remain silent at home, not coming to follow the case. So sometimes the court is left with no option but to relieve the accused person. So when you release the accused person again goes and associate himself in the same community. Either his life is in risk or he may end up committing the same crime. So these are very challenging situation in this country that people are facing now.
No. It's more than now 6 years from 3rd of December 2022 up to date. But Judge Abdel Gassim, we are seeing still cases of rape, still high, cases of sexual assault, and you talked of some other cases that falls under GPV. Why? Tumasha Khalin wale mushkila wen bezat.
Okay, thank you. You know, the first problem is that the number of the judges. The number of the judges is very few. That is why the cases can be accumulated from time to time. And put in consideration that our current situation, especially economic situation, is very bad. That is why some of persons there entices the girls outside there and in the name of love, because of her poverty, that entices her to engage in sexual intercourse. Okay? Every day in the GBV code or every week we receive between 5 up to 10 new cases, and all of them in the prison. Every week, at least 5 cases every day. Then the number of the judges, as I have said, they are very few. That is why the number beyond capacity of the judges. We need more judges. Now the administration of the judiciary in the process to recruit new judges. I am very sure if these new judges they have assigned, then we'll solve a lot of problems. Yes.
Now, since also the establishment of this special court, what are some of the achievements idafa litabielga GBV court amul bedab fi dakil Junuba Sudan wa bezat fi Central Equatorial State?
Okay. من محكمة تم التأسيس بتاعه يعني معظم ضحايا بتاع GBV cases هم اللي جوا عدالة. هم اللي جوا عدالة يعني حتى في بدايات يعني لما الناس لسه ما عارفين GBV code they behave like before they establish the GBV code. لكن now بقى مواطنين عارفين إنه إنت لو عملت جريمة إنه يلاقي بموت ضد النوع في محكمة بتموت ضد النوع بمعنى هيدوك هناك في محكمة. يعني أثر بتاعه بقى في توعية للشباب ذاته. كويس. بعدين المحكمة تشجع survivors. يعني some survivors they don't report the case to the police. Some of them if they report to the police they don't follow the case up to the court. لكن now خلاص they are getting encouragement. They report to the police and they follow their case up to the court. بيجا خوف بيجا ما في. كويس. الكلام ده جاي نتيجة للتوعية اللي كان بيتم في الميديا للمواطنين إنه يا جماعة لازم يكون في شجاعة من أسرة من سرفايفر إنه يعملوا ريبورت لبوليس.
نعم.
عشان سرفايفر بيلو حق بتاعه عشان متهمين أو مجرمين البرة اللي دائما بيرتكبوا جرائم بتاعهم ضد النوع ده لازم يتم محاسبة بتاعهم. عشان أي زول ثاني ما يفكر إنه يرتكب جريمة بتاع GBV.
Now, Mr. Morris, you heard it, of course, from Abdul Qasim, but at the start of your statement, you equally mentioned the importance of keeping all the documents or details of that court proceeding confidential. Why is that necessary, really, as a legal officer?
Yeah, that is necessary in such a way that it will not expose the survivor to the public. For instance, if you go to the GPV court now, you will find that they have a safe room where those documents are brought and kept, so that anybody will not even interfere with them. Even sometimes, if it requires hearing the person in secret, the court can do that in a closed door. Only hearing the survivor, because sometimes if the survivor is exposed to the public, the information reaches out, and it spoils the image of the person. Because it feels very, very bad, like if you say, the person becomes a minister and you say, this was a minister who was raped when she was at this kind of age. You get me? So it spoils the reputation of the person. So that what we're saying, everything should be confidential also in terms of protection. Because once you expose a survivor even to some other people, like for instance, there are people who come to the court only to see survivor there when they are survivor desato. Because when they're in a of them money I gave Moshe la copitam, or I gave Moshe le janatomon. From there they pick with the survivor personal. That's why Maka Madama goes to know any case, even right from the police, not only in the court. At the for police, but confidential. Yes, all Gajan is only for police zato, there are for them. This kind of things, even if the accused is a juvenile, for instance, or if it happens that the survivor is a juvenile. So it is very, very important for confidentiality at that stage from the court, from the police up to the court. So I just wanted also to add something small onto what Abdul Qasim was saying. It is as well coincided. Le GPV case is magi kalazo. It's like saying le katrona sat fi Junub Sudan de magi wogifo. You get me? He mentioned some of the reasons. Basically talked about the economic crisis. Now the crisis is magi kalas fi Junub Sudan. That is the problem. because based on this economic crisis binya suker burudu zone مثلا عنده قروش كان دولة شوية كبير ولا عنده قروش بس she will go into sexual intercourse and in the process she may become pregnant. You get me? It's already a gender-based violence case. Number two, you have these things to do with the early and forced marriages. Lano nas bega darin gurush mafi. Ofi banata al guiding fibet. So you find that the parents give them away against their will only to get back the cash or the wealth to sustain. So there are a lot of things that are happening because coupled to these things of the root causes, we need to see how we can resolve the root causes of these GBV cases other than saying even if we bring very many judges, but those cases continue to happen in the area, we shall not stop them. You have one of these misuse of the drugs and these things of alcoholism and the rest. Unless the government looks at how to restrict them from taking this alcoholism, these drugs, then maybe rape cases will give shuya.
No.
And this kind of things, it will motivate them. It can rape the girl. So it can still happen. Even Kalam Tamara is because most of this domestic violence is Kalamata, Dugumara, Duguragel, it happens because of these drugs sometimes. Kanmara Agasu Marisa or Aragle Agasu Marisa. So unless we control Hajadel, then we shall see that GBV cases be reduced dramatically.
No.
But if we don't control them, Obizidu.
Shukran. Abdul,
something about the confidentiality.
Okay, go ahead.
Confidentiality, you know, it is very important to keep all the details and the court proceedings at the GBV court confidential. Why? Confidentiality is one of the guiding principles of the GBV cases. Number two, the GBV cases are related to reputation of the survivors and their families. That is why it is very important for the confidentiality to be there. And we cannot allow any person to get these informations or these details and to disseminate it to the public. Why? Those survivors, they are leaders of the future. Okay? That is why you have to keep these things confidential. Nobody will allow him or any person to get these details.
نعم.
Yes.
عبد القاسم في نفس برنامج بتاع سانداون أنا سمع صحبات من أبوهاد ومهات في نفس طريقة المون بيلقى كمان عدالة لأسرة بتوم واحد لمون ماشي في بخون نقطة بوليس كلامتا قروش في ناس بيشيل منهم قروش ونمرة اتنين قضايا بيلقى بتجيبي في ما جينتا تعالي بخورة تعالي بخورة تعالي بخورة وأخيرا كمان لو تحكيم حاصل تبيلقى يعني بعد شهرين 2 سنة زول خلاص برا وكان ده مستيق زول البخون في سجن تقريبا 7 سنة ولا 14 سنة ما تم يعني بروسيس الكله بدأتم قاعد بعمل شنو عشان كيف يحلوا مشاكل هذه.
كويس شكرا كثير. في بوليس ستيشن يعني نحن كعبودة أو كمحكمة ما عندنا علاقة هناك بالشرطة، ده شغل بتاع النيابة public prosecutor. وصح يعني وضع اقتصادي حاسة في الجنوب صعب جدا، عشان كده مؤسسات الدولة وبالذات مؤسسات العدلية يعني انت لو ما عندك فاسيلتيز يبقى الإجراءات بتاعك ما بيمشي قدام. It is a reality. ده حاجة حاصل قاعد يحصل في أقسام بتاع بوليس. لكن طبعا هناك ما عندنا سلطة، ده شغل بتاع نيابة مع شرطة هناك زي وزارة الداخلية. لكن لما نجينا في محكمة هنا يعني قلنا بنجتهد انه اجراءات لازم يتم في زمن قصير. مرات اجراءات بيتم تاجيله from time to time. مرات متهم ما بيجيبوه من سجن لمحكمه. يعني عربيه مرات ممكن يكون فيه مشكله بتاع وقوت او يتعطل او اي ظروف اللي بيحصل في عربيه. بمعنى المتهم لو ما جابوه من سجن لمحكمه اجراءات ما بيمشي قدام. زي ما انا قلت عدد بتاع قضاة بسيطين يلا عدد بتاع قضايا كميه كبير. In the GBV court, we handle juvenile cases and GBV cases. The same judge. عشان كده بكون في الزحمة. كويس. عشان كده قضايا بياخد زمن شوية.
نعم.
لكن in the end القضايا بينتهي في زمن قصير لأنه يعني بنجتهد انه لازم بننتهي في اقرب زمن، لان المتهم العربي يكون قاعد جوا زمن طويل.
نعم. شكرا جزيلا. في زمن بتاع سؤال اتصل في 0911 لو عندك سؤال خاص لمستر موريس ليجال ايد اوفيسر في ساوث السودان وجاج عبد القاسم بعد فاصل طوال.
It's a Baghdad Diamond Wednesday مع اي راديو على نمرة التليفون 0911-986-986 أو ترسل رسالة على نمرة 0913-986-986.
ناخد أول مخالة مع هاي راديو. أستاذ ويلي وان من لولوغو وان.
أستاذ ويلي ولا ويلي من لولوغو وان.
مرحبا أخونا.
الليتا شغل دي بتاع الميتا القايمة في الإزازة وشغل لكل المسلمين الناس ما كمان في زمن تعاصري والمتسرين كله. يلا بس سؤال ثاني ننزل لأخل نتكلم قبل شوية قال لي كمان هذا التاجودة أنا بقول هذا التاجودة ما بيصير لأنه كل سنة أنك ما قاعدين نخرج خارجين شهادات من الجامعات القضاء والمحامين وحاجات دي بنقولها وين؟ قلت من برا مشي يحكم ناس في دول البرا ولا يحكم ناس في السودان. كل سنة قال المحامين من خارج القضاء في الجامعات وبمشي وين هم قالوا أنا التاجودات بصد ما بيكفلوا القضاء ما بينتهي. هذه الاثنين هو الفاوض اللي هو قال لك كلام كويس يعني ما اللي كافر. انا قلت طبعا يعني هم ما قاعدين ينزل في المحكمه هناك زادوا في المحاكم اللي تمشي في البيت هم قاعدين ينزلوا له زادوا هم قاعدين بهنا في كيسر قاعد تجي كده ده ما من واجب بتاعك انت ما بيكون عندك كمان سياسه في الحاجه دي بجاي. انا ما حتى ما هو قال لك جبري يعني حاجه ده قاعد طبعا يعني بيقى الناس بيقى دايفين بنات الناس دايفين يا بيشوفوا دول اللي قروش دول كبير اللي قروش وبمشي له يلا واعي بتوم في شغل بتوم ليه جي بي ده ما بيوعي الناس كله معلومات كده كله واعي المجتمع كله كان السكر والناس الكبار اللي قروش دي حتى كان الوزراء ولا كان حكومه ولا كان شنو لازم كمان كده من كمان قوي عن زواج البدري والناحيه من الانتهاكات زي المرأة دي ممكن كده كمان حاول كده لازم نعمل برنامجات يبقى يوم من الايام ممكن يبقى كمان مع الكبار الناس اللي قروش ده ممكن كمان يقول لهم كلام زي قال انتم فعلا ربنا يقدركم في الدنيا كويسين عندكم مال وحاجات دي لكن حاجات كده ده مخاطر بالنسبه لكم في الدوله بتاعكم والناس كمان ما نقول لهم لكن ما بنتكلم بس لكن الناس اللي هو كبار اللي كمان بنتهي لها بان قال لي قروش انت ما واعي الناس كله ما كان كله دي كلام يا امانه.
نعم ده ويليام في لولوغو. سؤال واحد بيمشي لجاج عبد القاسم خارجين ديل كل سنة بيمشي وين؟ نمرة 2 لموريس. نعم if economic crisis is one of the contributing factor why are you not also giving awareness to those who are rich currently using their resources to manipulate these young girls? I radio.
Hello.
نعم منو ومن وين؟
أنا قدوس دار من مونا وفوان.
مرحبا قدوس.
أنا بس كان دار كلمة ضيوف الماس في استوديو ده يعني أصلا شغل له لأنه قانون كان كتب ثابت كان عايز بكافة وده ما في ده مثلا إنه ناس بقى جريمة ده بقى كتير لأن جريمة ده بيحصل كتير كل ما زال بيشيلوا في ريفورمات في إصلاحية بقول سنتين بيجي طالع تاني ما ناس مش حاجه بتسيب لكن بيقولوا 15 سنه زول بقول في سجن ما في زول ثاني زول كان بيكون قاعد زول ثاني بخمس سنين زول بيجي ما في حاجه ثانيه بعدين قودا بيكون ما في ده عشان جريمه ده بيحصل طوال تعرف بلد بتاعنا لسه جديد معظم الناس كلها عساكر والناس الطبيعه ده عارفين الاجابه انت دخل معاه كما تعبنا واحد لما المنقان عادي يعني انا كان انا مثلا بتاعي صغيرين ده يعني كان تجيب ذاته ما هذا فرض من بعد هي البتم بعد أكثر كان طرف اللبارة والطرف مال ده اللي بيجي ديسكارد يا أبي كان جيجا هي صغار بيجي زي جاجر هوتيل بكم من هذا بدل هذا فتيسة بالليل هي اللي بيجي اللي بيسوق مسافة بستار وشنو يا تدا من غرالة هي تناسمون الجاجر هوتيل كبير زي ده بيجي مبانات مواقع في شنو بيجي في محل زي هي تمون يا كان دنيا عامل بيجي كنا والله جينا تايدا عاملين مزول كده إجراء جريت المحكمة إنت كان جيني وين ثم بنيتك تجدور برا إنت بنيتك من ما بقى 14 خلاص جيس نبغى عند صدور عند شنو غيره برا أي ولد جاي إنه غيره بنيته ترى جافا خلاص زول بيدوك ترى ما دور البندوق شنو بنيته مالتي ده ما أنا ما بقدر كاسة كلام بس بدو فوق ده وبيعصر مالتي جينا فكرة بكلمه بيعمل بيحصل تو عجب جري يعني أصل قدافي لكن المشكلة إنه ما في قانون ثابت على البكوتو إنه أي زول بكافو إنه كوتو قانون ثابت عشان أنت ما بيقدر دور من محل قانون ما في قانون ثابت لكن ده بترى لسه جارة في السياسة وفي كلام كرسي والناس مسؤولين برلمان ذاته ما في الشريعة عنده كله ده عينه معينه سو بلد يعني حاجة ده لسه بعيد لأن بالسنة اللي كان انتخابات جاء هذا كله جاء بكوتو قوانين البلد البيهان عيال عشان عيال بترى ده كله فايدة لكن شغل جانا لا ترى الناس سووا قروش ماس نية ماس جانا جيجين في الدم ما فيها يتجي جان جنبه جنب موبايل كبير من ودي ما وين يا ودي برا لازم يشتغل فوق الشغل فأنا بقول ده شكرا معلش يعني بس كنا سنة انتخابات دي بعد فيها حاجة برا تمام شكرا لك
شكرا قدوسنا في جوبا هاي راديو
how are you?
تمام community advisor من Madingbor.
Yeah, let me start by recognize the presence of our guest in the studio and you presenter of today. My question is very simple and I usually read that question and no one answer it. Today I'm very happy it will be answered by the lawyer of GBP. All the companies and all organizations usually supporting the GBP usually take one side and not work in another side. Now, if an old man married a 18-year-old girl, are you with me?
Yes, I'm getting you.
Okay. Married a 18-year-old girl, all the companies and all the organizations supporting GBB usually raise up and talk against that man, that old man. And when an old woman of 6 kids divorced her husband and married by the young man of 25-year-old, GBB companies and GBB organizations usually silent and we usually pay dowries on that. Why GBB work on one side? Yet we are all human and we are all people of this country. Why it is do that? Number two, when you find the old woman married by the young boy, which penalty or which court are you supposed to take that old woman to that place? Number one. Number two, which side are we supposed to take as a man to support GVB?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mara Loshilu Waleta Umar Sukar Nasgasko to GBV organization school wale human rights defenders baskot lekin loda hasil bit ya naskulu bonusu bagile na besa 5 دقائق عشان يجي في آخر مناقشة بتنا فهي سؤالين نعم Judge Abdelgasim Bishilo Hagu وكمان أستاذ موريس بارو كمان بشيلو هاجو. نبدأ أول ب Judge Abdelgasim. مرحبا.
شكرا كثير جيمس. السؤال الأول بتاع ويليام اسمه ويليام تقريبا الدقن لولوجو إنه خارجين كتار بيمشوا وين ليه ما بيعينوهم. عشان كده أنا قبل قلت في كلامي إنه قدر بسيطين على مستوى الجنوب كله. عشان كده إدارة بتاع السلطة القضائية أو إدارة الجوديشري فتح باب تقديمات لكل الدرجات هاي كورت فاست جريد سكند جريد جوديشال اسيستانس كويس. عشان كده في ناس هسه قدموا كتار التعيينات ده يعني ياهو شويه كده بيجي سايت جوديشري بتاع السودان بيزيد عدد بتاع قضاة كويس. طبعا الجوديشري ما زي مؤسسات تانيين. الجوديشري ما بيعين ناس سنويا حتى لو خارجين كتار وبشوف حسب الاحتياجات بتاعه ومحتاج بيقوم بيعمل تعيينات، لو ما محتاج ما بيكون في تعيينات. كويس. عشان كده خريجين صح سنويا في خريجين، لكن تعيينات الجوديشري ما قادر يتم شنو سنويا حسب احتياج بتاع مؤسسه لناس. عشان كده رئيس القاده الجديد الدكتور بنيامين باك هو لما جاء استلم هو شاف انه في ضروره انه لازم يتم تعيين بتاع قضاه جداد في درجات ديل عشان يقدر يزيد عدد بتاع قضاه. كويس. عشان كده فرصه حسب الخريجين. كويس. انه لو زول بيجي عنده رغبه يجي في السلطه القضائيه بيجي يقدم. السبب الثاني الناس ما تكون عندهم رغبه يقدموا يا مشاكل بتاع مرتبات. طبعا زول بيجي يشتغل عشان داير شنو داير مرتب، لو مرتبات في مؤسسات بتاع حكومه مرتبات ما بيجي اون تايم بمعنى ما في زول بيجي يقدم لك، لو جاء بيجي ناس بسيطين. لكن حسن اننا متفائلين خير انه بالتقديمات اللي تم ده يمكن في الفتره الجايه ده بيتم تعيين بتاع قضاه جداد، بعد عدد بتاع قضاه بيكون كويس عدد معقول بيقدر يحلوا مشاكل الموجود في محاكم بالجنوب. شكرا جزيلا.
نعم. أستاذ موريس.
اوكي شكرا كثير. بنفس اللي زول اللي اسمه ويليام، استاذ ويليام قبل قال شنو؟ قال ليته هي دي ما قاموا الناس اللي عندهم قروش. لكن ما عندنا ديسكريميشن. أنا في راديو إنت كان عنده قروش وأنت ما عنده قروش إنت جالس مع راديو. وأنا بقولت بينه GPV cases they are not good cases. GPV بقولت بداخل في السجن. GPV بيجيب مشاكل كتير individually it has an effect at the family at the national level. So we don't discriminate when we make awareness. But what we are saying is القروش يا بيسجل فودا لناس عندهم قروش. They tend to misuse the money. So when we go out to the community, whether through radio or through community outreach, we talk to everybody. But now, what we are saying is they are trying to misuse the money. So for somebody called Kotos or Muno?
Kotos.
Kotos, I think, talked about the reformatory center, which I think Abel Gassim will respond to it.
And again, law enforcement.
Lano gal bino fi kalamta 2 years, la yal, alo gal besit. المفروض يكون اكثر 15 سنه ولا كم
وتنفيذ ذاته بتاع
قوانين. لانه بس في حاجه عندك في كلام التنفيذ ده، لانه جو بيتكلم كلام البوليس. البوليس عنده دور بتاع براو، ما كمان عنده دور بتاع براو، حتى السجن ذاته عنده دور بتاع براو. لانه القاضي كان حاكم زول الليله وراسل في السجن، زول كان طلع من السجن كيف بكون بالمره ما بكون مسؤوليه قاضي، ده بكون مسؤوليه السجن زول طلع كيف من السجن. الا اذا كان قاضي يطلع زول، لكن كان حاكم زول 3 سنه 4 سنه سجن، زول المفروض يكونوا قاعد في السجن. يلا القاضي ده المفروض هو يا ما جتابي تاني مره هل زول في السجن ولا زول ما في السجن، ده ما شغل تاسنو بتابي، ده شغل السجن مثلا من بعين اداره السجن بعينه بين زول تم 4 سنه بتاعه حتى بيجيبوا قدام قاضي يا بيجاسو بيجافيكو ده انا بيعرف كويس. الكوميونتي ادفايزر وكان كلام بينه كلام تا وان سايدد، المنظمات الكامبانيز بيكلم كلام تا GPV بيكلم للنسوان بس. ليه قلنا للنسوان كتير ليسنو الGPV يا جماعه ما وان سايد وبيحصل لي زول راجل زاد بدوق مره الرابينج ذاته ان انا تلو شفته في بينال كود ما مكتوب بين هي او شي، ما مكتوب بينه ده مره ولا ده راجل، لكن مكتوب بين هي او شي ان كان عمل سيكشوال انتركورس with any person. اللغه ده بقول any person هي زول اقل من 18 سنه. سو هي زول ممكن يكون مره او يكون راجل، لكن المشكله هنا وين most of the cases الجيجا في بوليس لكان في محكمه دي are being reported by women. إذن رجال البسيطين I do not even have not seen cases تا رجال الجيجا في محكمة ولا من بوليس لمحكمة. These rape cases I have not seen them. Maybe you can talk about the physical beating like the domestic violence الجاسل الناس بيعينه. لكن البوري بينه مرة ده كبير في عمره جوز ولا سكر وبالغوا في بوليس وصل لكار في محكمة. I think the judges here will confirm with me that it's very rare to find them.
Okay, just in a second as well.
Yes.
Kabielga, you are a legal aid officer. Ga lasi yal begin to huria bamulu DJ ushuno dorbita abuhadi hun bezati nishuno huyala na brahib Abdul Kasim wasaman.
Okay, we all have a duty. We have duties to our children. La ita la wale dijana is your own duty to make sure that jana dera babiteri bearsa. You get me? So you don't need to all the time to blame the organizations, to blame the mahakama ya go fursa, because okay, for instance, if the child is reaching to 15 years, 14 years, coming back at home around 9 p.m., 10 p.m., itaka abu wala jana, what are you seeing?
Yeah, right. Sari kida fi daqaik bes kida wala 30 ثانية. مرحب.
شكرا جزيلا. سؤال بتاع كودوس جميل انه المدة وشو مدة ده ما كافي، لكن طبعا قاعدين نطبق قانون قال 2 ل 5 سنة. كويس. عشان كده بطبقوا. وبعدين السجن عندهم نظام، يعني مثلا محكمة حكم لزول ب10 سنة، السجن عندهم لوائح بتاعهم انه سنه عنده 9 months. عشان كده ممكن تلقى في كل سنه 9 شهر مده ده بكون شنو؟ اقل من مده المحكمه حكم به.
شكرا.
وده اللوائح بتاع السجون هناك قانون هذا يطبقوه كده.
Thank you. Dear listener, up to here, we have come to the end of our conversation on crucial topic, that's the jurisdiction and process of the GBV court. I'm honored to be joined live in the studio by Abdul Gazim, Super Judge at the GBV Juvenile Court, and Mr. Morris, John Peter, Legal Aid Officer, Face South Sudan. We thank Face South Sudan, UNDP, and the Kingdoms of Netherlands for all these wonderful discussion. I've been your host, Madrama James, and big thanks to our one Moses, Darlington Moses. These are the guys behind our social media coverage.